Hey, I call back seat with my legs on the hump. So on today's episode, we're leaving Boulder on a little bit of an adventure. All right, sorry, had to rewind there. 1967, Werner K. Honig, editor of the Handbook of Operant Behavior. Now this was the first time that I ran across that a behavior analyst had worked in a setting of space technology. Now, I had mentioned that today we were going to have a guest on the show that is Dr. TV Joe Layng, and it's a little bit of an interview style. I start him off asking, what are some of the settings that you've worked in and applied what he calls consequential contingency analysis to? Now, I hinted at one setting, but this guy has worked in so many different areas that are just not traditionally experienced by anyone that's in this field. I would almost guarantee that you, myself, have never worked in situations in which he has applied our science. So today, a few of those areas, specifically diving into a couple of the projects that he worked on, and then we're going to provide a few different resources down below that you can go check out. All right. What are some of the settings in which you've applied contingency analysis?
Well, when I was at college, bars. that was always good. You know, try to be as reinforcing as possible, as subversive as possible, in a kind of program way. But aside from that, I would say that I began working in college, university courses in terms of designing them. Never was successful taking them. I was pretty successful in designing them. I worked in that environment, higher education. I've worked in quite extensively through many drop-in times in higher education. I've worked in elementary education and so on. I've developed program instruction. I've developed computer-based instruction, adaptive instruction. I've worked in organizational behavior management, performance improvement in a variety of business settings. I've worked in hospitals. I've worked in psychiatry. I've worked in outpatient psychiatry. I've worked in inpatient psychiatry. And I've done animal research.
Is that not a laundry list or what? If you ever have the opportunity, make sure that you ask him how he got his undergraduate degree.
So all of those areas.
What about NASA?
I worked with NASA on the creation of settings and how do you sustain a large human population in space.
Space. Really? Pretty cool, right?
We worked on that project in the late 1970s.
Okay. Well, I guess what were the outcomes? I don't know the end of that story.
Well, we all live now in space stations. No. That's not the outcome. The outcome was I gave a report. And we did have some outcomes on some of the other projects that I can't talk about because I think they were classified.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you about those projects. But there were projects involving the Skylab astronauts and so on, and it resulted in more civilians being recruited into NASA. But we worked on what we were looking at is given a space station an event which could be called a terrorist event, but it didn't have to be. It could be just a disgruntled lover who decides that doesn't want to live anymore and blows a hole in the side of the space station. It could have devastating effects. And so how do you control for extreme behaviors and how do you control for the type of getting along and teamwork and other things you're going to need to do, kind of like, if you will, not a Walden 2 type of situation, but a situation where you're trying to create a setting. And so we worked on selection criteria as well as self-control procedures, emotions analysis, and so on in terms of describing contingencies and helping people in terms of self-control procedures related to a contingency analysis. We worked on extensively at NASA. We also worked on projects such as why didn't people escape from airplanes that were crashed, when it was found that many times people could have escaped and they didn't. The question was why. And we found that that was because of the toxic materials in the seats that were on fire, disabling the people.
Really?
And
Wow.
we found that out by taking and burning the stuff and training rats, operant lever presses, and giving the smoke in there and finding it totally disrupted their behavior and they couldn't continue.
Interesting.
So we did things like that too.
So I assume that resulted in like new materials being deployed in those.
We hope so.
Yeah.
Who knows? One would hope.
Yeah.
We never know. I don't know. Has anybody survived? I don't know. But I mean, we just showed that we could isolate what the chemicals were and so on. Whether they took them out or not, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Hopefully you did.
Now I'm linking below that Werner K. Honig 1967 Handbook of Operant Behavior book. Make sure you pick up 67, not 77. 67 is just a little bit better. There is a $5 gift card down there. Actually, there's two. But I'm also going to link a talk that was delivered by Israel Goldiamond, which was Joe Layng's mentor, directly to NASA. And make sure that you check that out as well. Audio quality clearly isn't as good as this one, but it's worth listening to, and it's probably way more valuable than this. I'd like to pass the question off to you now. Why is it that we're no longer working in this setting specifically? Or are we, and maybe we just don't know that people are working there? There are folks that work for agencies like the CIA or contract out with them. There are records of those sort of things happening. So I wouldn't put it past like someone is working in that sort of setting. But I'm interested in what your thoughts are below. Also, where should we be working? Where could we apply our science? Now, if you're into this, please remember, hit like, share. It actually makes a difference. It's the way that we can start to get this content outside of our walls. And if you're interested, drop some ideas or some feedback that you have down below. I'd love to hear about that sort of stuff. It's the only way that this stuff is going to get much, much better. That said, constructional affection training or constructional aggression training?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Well,
called
these
both
are-
of those,
these
or are
are-
they different procedures? Can you tell
Well,
us a
they're
little bit?
similar procedures.
Okay.
It comes from the term constructional and the notion that you want to establish behavior.
This is your daily BA.